Good morning and welcome. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations, and I'm so glad that you're joining me here today. I am starting with a bit of a confession. I went to upload this video to YouTube for you on Monday, and it was missing a piece. So I filmed it, but I think I deleted it. Really what it was the intro and the start of the project. So what I'm going to do here is kind of walk you through the baby steps I took at the beginning to catch you up with the rest of the video. You know what? It happens. So instead of seeing this on a Monday, you're seeing it on a Friday, and if you're catching this up weeks from now, months from now, years from now, you don't much care. So it's all good. What I wanted to do with this project was I hadn't done anything around Santa for the holidays. I had done trees and lots of trees. I think I still have more trees coming. I mean, whatever. So I wanted to do a Santa. And so I started looking through my wood stash, and what I had was an old chair seat. So you can see here kind of a little bit of the curving happening, right? It split, obviously. I took the piece in the middle, right? So I just took the piece in the middle. I'm making a shelf sitter. It's nice and thick wood, but you could take any cast off piece of wood, which again, I have a bunch of in the shop because I just keep taking people's donations. I use them. You could take a piece of pallet wood, or if you have a picket fence that you have taken apart or a neighbor has taken apart, perfect. Because the first thing that I did was I cut 2 little triangles off the corners to make a point, to create a bit of a V at the top. And that's the first step, is just, you can use a handsaw, you can use a chop saw, I mean, whatever saw that you have that you want, that you feel comfortable with. So the seat wood was really thick, really hard. So I do admit, used a chop saw rather than a hand saw. Something this thin and light and easy to cut, a hand saw would work great. You're starting with an old picket fence, just cut it, do a straight cut for the height that you want. You're already there. All right, I may have deleted more video than I thought. So we're making another one, and you'll get to kind of see me flipping between two. So what I did do was I took this is just a little piece of pallet wood, and I cut off the tips to make the point for the Santa hat. And now we're going to paint it together. So the first thing that I want to do is I have actually taken just a little straight pen, and I have stuck it into a small styrofoam ball. This is one that I got at the dollar store. It came in a bag with multiple sizes, which is just perfect because then I have different sizes for different projects. And all I want to do is I want to paint it pink. So I'm just going to kind of roughly paint this pink. This is the nose. So I'm going to paint it pink, put it off to the side so that it can dry and that it's ready for when I get to that part. And I'm using DIY Petticoat Pink because I have it. You can use whatever color you got. Whatever color, whatever paint. And I'm just going to prop it over on the side. Perfect. So it's actually just sitting in an aerosol can section over there, which is fine, which is fine. And now I want to get this board painted, and I have not sanded the edges down. They're still kind of rough, as is the body of the board, and that's okay because I want to sand it after I get some of my paint on. And I'm pretty sure this is not going to come out the bottom very well. Here we go. So I'm just going to get some paint on. I'm just taking a little chip brush and I'm just going to apply. And I'm using Marquee which is a brighter red than you'll see that I used on the other sample board. So I'm gonna be flipping between this particular board and project and the middle seat. And you'll see the difference because this is much thinner, the other one is much thicker, but it's the same principle, and it's whatever wood you've got going is fine. So the other one is thicker, which means it can be a little bit more of a shelf sitter, but quite honestly, it's kind of really tall. It still needs to kind of lean and be part of something, you know, hanging from the wall, whatever. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave this to dry. And after it dries, I'm going to take it over to my sander and just kind of smooth out all of the edges. It's gonna distress it, it's gonna show some of the wood, but it's going to then give it a nice kind of rustic edge to it, which is what I'm looking for. So we've got our nose over there drying, we've got our board drying. You're gonna join the video with the other board. And then as this dries, I'm gonna catch it up with the video and come back at you at the end when I'm missing the other piece of video. It'll all make sense to you, don't worry. You can see that I just really lightly sanded all the edges, some of the front of the board. It's nice and smooth, got a little bit of the wood peeking through, which is perfect. What I do wanna do is just kinda, there we go, that works. All right. I do want to add just a little bit of aging to it. So I am taking some DIY Dark and Decrepit. So look at the little bit that I have on there. And I'm just going to kind of take it up around the edges just a little bit. Just kind of feathering it in just to kind of add a little bit of an aging here and there, right? And now that I have very little on my brush, I can kind of drag it down a little bit. Just a hair more. Okay. And that's all. I didn't want a lot, but just a little bit to add just another, a little bit of dimension. So sometimes it's not huge touches that you're adding that make the difference. Sometimes it's just small things. So two other things that we're adding. So we do have our nose that's still drying over here. Oops, it just fell over. It was resting so nicely till I messed with it. And now I have a mop. So just from the dollar store, $2 from the dollar store. Sorry, that's just not opening nicely for me. It's making a lot of obnoxious noise. Okay, so this is gonna have a lot more than I need, but it's these strands that I'm interested in. And I haven't cut apart a mop before. I'm just seeing whether or not there's an easy way to get it apart, or whether I'm cutting it all off. The easy way is that you can just pull it through, and no doubt it gets easier as you pull more pieces out. So what I'm looking at doing is just pulling it apart, pulling what I need. Oh, that's nice and easy. I like that. Awesome. Okay. So let's see how those strands go. So what I am looking at doing is gluing on a couple of layers of these. So, oh my goodness, that one's quite long. And so I want one layer that goes across. Let me look for some of my shorter strands here. And I'll be able to cut these nicer afterward. I can shape this, but in essence, this is our Santa beard, right? So I'm looking to have some loops that go across tightly here. And I have my glue gun going. So I was just looking for how many would I need. And I'm gonna do a couple of rows so that they do layer to create kind of a bit of a thickness here. So I'm just looking to lay down a bit of glue, take my double strand and just kind of stick it down in there while the glue's hot so that that will hold in place. Now that I've got one row done, what I want to do is add an additional row, but I want this one, that's cut through, so let's cut that off. I want this one to be up a little higher. It's going to be a little shorter, so I could probably, out of that piece, get 3. Okay, so I'm looking for it to sit a little bit higher, a little bit above that, and definitely having some shorter strands in there. Right, so roughly about this long. Get some of my pieces together here. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to lay a bead of glue above that first row and then just start laying in our next row of our beard just above it. Okay, now what we are going to look at is I've got a couple of these shorter strands here, and I'm likely going to have some of these. So I just want to cut these off so they just kind of round out. So longest down in the middle and then coming up here on the sides. And oh, this is right here. And then doing the same with my longer pieces as well. So coming down maybe across here. So I'm just cutting them off shorter first. And that's my length. And then starting to take them up in a march. Okay, so we just gave them a little bit of a beard trim here. Now, you could make this even fuller by adding another row if you would like. What I'm thinking that I'd like to do is maybe add a little bit of a mustache on here. So I was just looking to have some of those. So if I had the little mustache coming down, so shorter on top. And to do this, I'm thinking I might want to just tie off the mustache with a little bit of twine first, just so that I have a center to it. Now, let me give you some options. Options are good. You could leave your beard like this. So you could leave your beard where you've just got all those strands. You could have the little mustache hanging down, and that those are your strands. And that would be perfectly cute. That would be perfectly cool. And that would work. Or you could unravel. Okay, so you would turn this to release all those little strands. Okay, so each of my mops has 4 strands in there. So instead of, let me do the mustache on one side and I'll leave the mustache alone on the other side. So you can get a comparison and then you can decide what you would rather, what you would like in terms of your look. Both are cute. It's just really a personal choice, right? What you would like. One's a little shaggier, if you will. It's a little shaggier, a little fuller. So you can see the difference between the two. This is the unraveled, this is not. So it's up to you what you'd like to do. I'm thinking I'm going to unravel. So I'm going to finish unraveling my mustache. And then, well, let me show you here. So what I would do here is flip the top beard out of the way and then start on one side of that bottom row and just twist them so that they all come apart. And you'll just end up with 4 strands instead of the 1 strand. And then move on to the next. We're flipping back to our little guy again. And we've got the beard all on, the little mustache, and the nose. So with this, there's really like 1 step left. And that's, we need to put on some kind of a band. I mean, he looks a little barren. And the easiest way to do this is we're gonna take a sock from the dollar store. And I wanted a rustic kind of looking sock for my Santa, but you could do something fuzzier and dressier. I mean, he's your Santa. So I'm going to cut off this sock and I want to leave, and I'm just saving this for another project. I will make a gnome, I will do something, trust me. I want to leave enough to fold that rough edge in because that was the cut side. This band up here, this is already finished, but I just want to have a piece that, you know, when it's folded in is going to be nice and smooth. And all we're going to do is we're going to now take this band and we're going to put it over top. And we're just going to make sure it's kind of tucked in, pull it down a little bit and back because we want it to kind of go up. Look how cute that is. And we've got his little mustache peeking out. It just finishes it off just kind of perfectly. Let me pull a little bit more of his mustache down here. There we go. And I'm just going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to just tack it down in place, which is just going to hold that folded band in place. I'm going to do that front and back. I love it because there's no sewing involved. And I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to tuck up just up by the nose here. So I'm going to make sure my mustache is all pulled down. I'm going to, a little hidden mustache. And on either side, I'm just going to put a big dollop of glue there to hold that sock in place. And that's it. Look, he's done. Here's our little guy. Here's our big guy. Oh, they're a cute little couple. Now, okay, so now I'm glad I made 2. It was a long way around, lots of mistakes along the way, but the craft itself is very quick, very easy, and very cute. Look at these guys. So the sweetest little Santas that you can prop up, you can sit on a shelf, you can lean against a wall, make part of your vignette, whatever works for you. I'm gonna grab a couple of pics so you see some close-ups of these, but really give them a try. The hardest part is cutting off the top of the V, and if you want a square hat, you don't have to. So you could even take the sock and just kind of stuff it and flop it over so that it masks the fact that you didn't cut off the top, and that would work too. So hope you guys give this a try. I look forward to seeing you next time, and in the meantime, take care.